back on just to have something.
Okay.
So just be aware of that.
Okay.
I'll be right back. Oh.
You want to put that in the
I got my
thing?
keys. We're good.
Okay. You should put this in the car then. Yeah.
Coverage as soon as I'm back. So.
Okay. Oh, so you didn't. Okay.
So I might just need to put this up and you just talk in front. And...
You got it. Okay, I'm going to turn this back on.
Okay.
I'm reading what they wrote on the web. So this is whole thing. Everything I've said is basically what they said. The car was found crashed. Was it into a tree? Did you see it into
I can't. I didn't get it. Scott's the one who got it.
I didn't see it into a tree. It was just into the sign of the driveway.
Okay, we are back live.
Okay.
So we're good. I'm going to turn this off. The audio.
I'm on Eucalyptus Hill on the east side of Santa Barbara, and we are watching a standoff live. This all started around 5:20. It appears someone shot at a car and injured someone, shot out the windows of the car. I believe it's a black Dodge Durango, sending one person with significant injuries to the hospital. And this is hours later, and they have the Bearcat on Salinas Street in a house, in a driveway that they evacuated the house. A neighbor believes they saw someone sneak into the side yard, and they are focusing in on a couple of sheds next to Kennedy's Automotive. And they are also circling with a spotlight the sheriff's helicopter to try to give them some lights. They've even parked patrol units with their headlights on to give these officers more light. They're armed, they have a canine out, and we could hear the canine alerting on something in the side yard. We talked to a mother who was evacuated with her dog. She was holding her rosary. She had her children with her. She said she had just gotten home and they safely got her out of there. She was really worried about the mother of the person shot, and she was also worried about the mother of who they're looking for. She feels that this looks like gang violence. She's worried about her neighborhood. She's worried about what the children are seeing. And they did multiple reverse 911s asking people to shelter in place, but that didn't stop people from coming out and looking at what we're seeing now. People are not allowed to go home on this block of Eucalyptus Hill that goes all the way up to, I believe, Santa Ynez Street. They're not allowed to go home on Salinas Street and even Cacique Street. And they are really focused on a home right on the side of Kennedy Automotive. They have the Bearcat, which is the SWAT team's big vehicle, parked in the driveway. All of the officers out here are armed. We saw some of them carrying rifles and others with less than lethal force. And here comes another officer. This has been going on since 5:20, so it appears that some officers are coming in to relieve others or to just add some backup. We also heard them talking about a robot, but we haven't seen them use one yet. And we've definitely heard a police canine barking toward the sheds. They searched up and down this automotive shop. They even searched underneath cars, but they haven't found this suspect in this shooting yet. But we're told one person went to the hospital with significant injuries. We don't have an update on their condition. But this all began at 5:20, and neighbors told us they heard at least 4 shots fired around 5:20. When we got here, the victim was already taken to the hospital, and the suspect, we're told by a neighbor, had run in behind a house right behind this automotive shop. All these employees and all these residents had to leave, and they can't get back to their homes or their cars, and they're all watching to see how this plays out. Again, this is a standoff on the east side of Santa Barbara. It's been going on since 5:20. One person went to the hospital. They're looking for a suspected shooter who looks to be someone who is holed up in a side yard, because they surrounded this area very quickly, and they have had so many officers it'd be hard for them to get away if they are in that side yard. There are officers on every corner, and there's a sheriff's helicopter with a spotlight overhead. We're too far away to hear if they're using a negotiator, but they are very focused on some sheds between a home and this Kennedy's automotive garage. It almost looks like they're waiting him out, or her, or whoever is there. They're waiting this out. If you can avoid the east side, please do. They've sent out a reverse 911 asking neighbors to shelter in place near the 200 block of Salina Street. That's a street where on one side it's Cacique Street and the other side is Eucalyptus Hill. It's pretty close to Milpas, so it's that part of Santa Barbara. And more officers seem to be coming in. Do you know what that officer's holding? Okay, so it looks like we've got the officers bringing a generator. They are trying to put more lights on this home. That was the purpose for the helicopter and its spotlight, but I don't see the spotlight on until it gets over the house. Again, this is a home on the 200 block of Salina Street. It's the first house next to Kennedy's Automotive, and they're looking for the suspected shooter in a shooting that sent one person with significant injuries to the hospital. We have no update on that person's condition. A car, a black, we believe it's a Dodge Durango, did crash up on Eucalyptus Hill around 5:20. You could tell it had significant damage to its windows. It looked like they'd been shot out. It had a flat tire, and when we got here, someone was already out of the car and had been taken to the hospital. A woman who was evacuated described this as gang violence. She said she was really worried about the families of the people, including the victim and also the person they're looking for. But we don't know exactly who they're looking for. We just know that the people evacuated said that they saw someone run in the backyard from Eucalyptus Hill to a house that's on Salina Street. This has been going on since 5:20, so we're looking at 4 hours now. Or it's coming up on 4 hours. The officers on the corners are keeping the neighbors or people from coming through. They want to keep people sheltering in place if they can. That's what the alerts went out about. But this is on the east side again. It's just at the corner of Salinas and Eucalyptus Hill, but Salinas also crosses over to Cacique Street, and they are focused on some sheds and a side home. It almost looks like they took the spotlight off, though. So they have a Bearcat, and there's some officers on top of it, and they're in the driveway of the home where they think someone is hiding. They think the person of interest is outside the home in a side yard, but we haven't had an update on that. Is there any way you can show how many people are outside?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, we're going to just show you all the people just outside on the corner of Eucalyptus Hill and Salinas. These are neighbors who want to see what's going on, others who can't get home because of this standoff. And at one point, it seemed like people left, and now it seems like a lot of them have come back. But they're watching what's happening play out in their own neighborhood. And I think it's about 50-50 people that are just want to know what's going on, and others who literally can't get to their homes right now until this is resolved. And one of the people who was evacuated is here on the corner, and she is worried about all the people involved. But she too was evacuated from her home, and that's where the Bearcat's in her driveway. And I believe it was her husband who saw the suspected shooter run in the driveway on Eucalyptus Hill and toward the other house. I think they went through more than one backyard. Again, they ask people to shelter in place at home, but a lot of people can't get home. If you're just looking at this, this is a standoff going on in the search for a gunman involved in a shooting that happened at 5:20 on Eucalyptus Hill. A car was shot at and somebody crashed that car and was taken to the hospital with significant injuries, we're told. And right now they have a lot of Santa Barbara police officers, the SWAT team out here with canines, and they are searching for someone possibly hiding in a shed. There's 2 sheds, I'm told, on the side of this house, and that's where the focus is. But they have turned off the spotlight from the sheriff's helicopter, so earlier they were coming down low and shedding light on this automotive shop. And they moved us a little farther away because they had their guns drawn in the automotive shop. On our mobile app, and then tonight on the news, we'll be able to show you the car where the victim was taken from after it crashed. It crashed into a driveway and a tree, and you could tell that its windows were just shot out, or somehow they were shattered, and one of its tires was flat. So it appears like someone was shooting at a moving car, and that sends someone to the hospital. And that is why the standoff's going on, and it's why they are looking for a shooter. So they believe who they're looking for is armed and dangerous, and that's why they have so many people out here, and they're asking people to shelter in place. But the reverse 911s have not made people stay home. So a lot of people know this area because we're very close to Franklin Elementary and Cleveland Elementary. Those are both close by. We're also just down the road from Milpas. That'd be the exit to get over to this part of the neighborhood. And you're looking up Eucalyptus Hill, and where the police car is flashing, that's just a little bit away from the car that crashed and had its windows shot out, is what it looked like to us. And that's where the victim was found and taken to the hospital. We don't know if anyone else was in that car, but that led to this search for a gunman, and this is all focused on a side yard of a home next to Kennedy's Automotive. Again, we're on the east side of Santa Barbara, and you're watching a standoff with Santa Barbara Police SWAT team and police canines. And we're just waiting to see how this plays out. And we have moved several times because they've cordoned off other blocks. And they're just trying to keep people safe. And they've done reverse 911 calls, but most people are just outside waiting. Half of them are just wanting to see what happens, and others can't get back to their houses. So we're just at the corner of Eucalyptus Hill and Salina Street. We're just moving our location. We want to show you what's happening. Just down the street, there's a Bearcat, and a lot of Santa Barbara PD that have cordoned off this whole section of Salina Street. And they are focused on a home next to Kennedy's Automotive, and they believe someone's hiding in a shed or a side yard area. And they're waiting that person out. They're looking for someone who's wanted for a shooting of a car that crashed on Eucalyptus Hill around 5:20. And the person that went to the hospital, we're told, had significant injuries, but we don't have an update on that person's condition. We did talk to neighbors who said they heard at least 4 shots fired. Others said it sounded like firecrackers. And a person evacuated from the house where the Bearcat is in her driveway said she is worried this is gang violence, and she's worried about the children or the young people involved and their families. And she was grasping her rosary and her dog and walking down the street, escorted by police with her children. She did talk to us, and she was very upset. And her husband alerted police to someone in their yard. So by 9:20, this will be going on 4 hours. We're in a neighborhood where kids go to Franklin and Cleveland elementary schools. We're pretty close to Milpas. This is an Eastside neighborhood. And this shooting happened in the daylight. At 5:20 now, with the time change, it was perfectly light outside. And then the sun set, and the sheriff's helicopter came out with a spotlight. And they have a lot of vehicles pointing their lights on this driveway. And they're just taking it slow. It looks like they're just waiting to see if this suspected shooter makes a move. They were told by a neighbor that someone ran into their backyard, and that's why they are focused on this part of the 200 block of Salina Street, a home here. It's pretty close to the corner of Eucalyptus Hill. It's right next to Kennedy's Automotive, which they asked people to evacuate, and they still have the lights on in that garage. I wish we could tell you the condition of the person that crashed their car that was shot at. All we were told is that they went to the hospital with significant injuries. The car looks like it's in really bad shape. It looks like at least one side of the car's windows were completely shattered, and a tire is flattened, and it crashed into a tree and a driveway right into an apartment area where apartments are. And now they're focused on a home on Salina Street that's right next to an automotive shop, and they believe someone might be hiding in a shed. They had a complete search of the automotive shop with a police canine, but we did not see them find anyone there. And this helicopter, which can be heard all around the east side, is just circling and circling, so no one can ignore what's going on here. It earlier was being used as a spotlight, but now it's just circling. It's possible that they have infrared technology or something. You know, they're looking for somebody. But it'd be hard to get away with this many officers on every corner and every driveway. There are police cars in almost every driveway going up Eucalyptus Hill between Salinas and where the car crashed, where the victim was taken to the hospital after crashing a black SUV. Fortunately for the people that can't go home, it's not that cold out here. They're just on the corner of Eucalyptus and Salinas waiting this out. Some people are just curious and they want to see how this plays out. Others cannot go home because they have to stay on the other side of that police tape. Definitely a lot of patient officers here. Here comes another SWAT officer who's going to go in under that crime scene tape. There's that SWAT officer over that way. Here comes more. It's possible that they have some fire paramedics walking that way too. They have fire trucks stationed on both ends, one on Eucalyptus and one on Salinas. That'd be firefighter paramedics. From here, you can pretty much see officers walking towards the Bearcat, which is parked in the driveway where they think the suspected shooter is holed up. They have evacuated that house. They did that right away. And they have police cars at the ends of streets to make sure that no one can drive past the crime scene tape. That's that yellow tape. And they haven't moved the vehicle that crashed where a victim was shot and taken to the hospital. We don't know anything about that victim other than the victim had significant injuries. And we're not sure much about the suspect other than a neighbor saw someone going in his driveway and into a backyard and possibly jumping a fence into another person's backyard. Here comes another SWAT officer. I think they're just trading places. Oh, sorry. Let me see what's happening down this road. It looks like they're going to try to bring another vehicle in. I saw them pointing down Salinas Street. I think that's a fire truck with firefighter paramedics. So I think they might be moving one of the police cars to bring some other units closer. Again, this is a standoff that started at 5:20, and they are looking for a shooter who shot at a car, shot out the windows of a car, is what we think, and shot out the tire of a car, and the person injured in the car crashed right into the driveway of an apartment complex on Eucalyptus Hill, sort of at the top of Eucalyptus Hill. And then a neighbor told officers he saw someone make a run for it into a home, into a backyard, and then over possibly a fence into another backyard. And right now, we're seeing some firefighters walk towards their truck, and they might be moving a truck. They might be trying to bring some fire equipment in earlier. So over and over again, the officers have to tell people they cannot cross and they can't go back to their house. This is a woman here who was evacuated earlier with her dog and her children. But it's her house where they're in her driveway. This is the first standoff I've reported on where all the officers are wearing masks because of the pandemic. So it's sort of a different way to do what they do. Not all the people out here watching are masked up, but the officers certainly are. And again, they're telling people they cannot go home and they can't cross these police tape lines. This is a neighborhood where families with children would know of because it's near Franklin Elementary and Cleveland Elementary. We're on Salinas Street. On one side of it is Cacique Street and the other side is Eucalyptus Hill. And this all started with a shooting on top of the hill on Eucalyptus Hill, a shooting at a car. And that car crashed, sending one person to the hospital with significant injuries. And all we know now is that they're searching for a suspected shooter in a home on the other side of an auto shop called Kennedy's Automotive. And they have evacuated the house where they have their Bearcat, that's the big SWAT team truck, in the driveway. They have completely combed through this automotive shop. They have not found anyone there, but they are focused on sheds or a possible side yard of this home. But since the home's evacuated, It is possible that the suspect's inside that home, but they haven't gone in the home. They're just searching around it, and they are circling the helicopter. If you live on the east side, you're definitely hearing this helicopter because it's been circling for most of the evening since 5:20. It left for a little bit and then it came back. And there's at least 50 people just on the corner watching. Again, if you are over in the Milpas area, avoid this part of the east side. It is completely closed off down from Salina Street, at least a block down Cacique and a block up Eucalyptus Hill, where a car crashed and was shot at earlier tonight, sending one person to the hospital, and now the search is on for a suspected shooter. Again, this all started around 5:20 when someone shot at, we believe, a black Dodge Durango, and it crashed into a tree in a driveway on Eucalyptus Hill. And then they started searching for a gunman because neighbors saw someone trying to hide in their yards. They heard at least 4 shots fired around 5:20-ish. So this was all around the 1400 block of Eucalyptus Hill where the car crashed around 5:20. And that's the person driving that car, it appears, had his window shot out, and you could see a flat tire, and it crashed into a tree in a driveway by an apartment complex. And just down the road where a house was, neighbors saw someone go in that driveway into another backyard, and they are focusing on a home right next to Kennedy's Automotive, and they have a Bearcat in the driveway, and it's been there now since 6:30. It moved in, and it's just been there, and they've got people on top of the Bearcat, and they are watching for any movement at this house and in the side yard because they want this to end peacefully, and they're not in any hurry. But the neighbors here are either sheltering in place like they're told, or they're out here on the corner watching what happens. Some of them cannot go home because of what's happening. But this is a standoff, and it all started almost 4 hours ago now. We have more information on our mobile app and our website. You can read up on what police have released, but we're still waiting to actually talk to officers. They haven't offered up any information as of yet, but from what we can see that the SWAT team's out there, they've got police canines, and they've got a helicopter circling, and they're pretty focused on a side yard of a home on Salinas that is right next to Kennedy's Automotive. And they evacuated that shop, and the lights are still on inside the shop, and no one can go in and get their cars and go home. And anyone who lives on these streets that are taped off by police tape can't go home either unless they're already home and they're sheltering in place. Again, if you're just watching or just tuning in to this live stream, we are showing you a standoff on the east side of Santa Barbara. From a timeline, at 5:20, people saw a car get shot at. They heard 4 shots fired. This car crashed, sending one person to the hospital. We saw the car, and it did look like its side windows were shot out, and one of its tires was completely out, and it had crashed into a tree and a driveway of an apartment complex right on the 1400 block of Eucalyptus Hill. But just down that hill at Salinas Street, the Bearcat came out around 6:30 because there were reports of a shooting suspect in a shed, possibly in a home right next to Kennedy's Automotive. So between 5:20 and now, they have been searching for a primary suspect in this shooting that sent someone to the hospital with significant injuries. And this is an Eastside neighborhood next to 2 elementary schools, not far from Milpas. And they had repeated reverse 211 calls asking people to shelter in place. Earlier tonight before dark, a lot of people came out to watch what was going on. Now, a lot of people have gone home, but a lot of people can't go home if they live on the other side of this crime scene tape. They are just watching patiently to see what happens. And one of the people that was evacuated from the house where the Bearcat is parked in the driveway is very concerned that this is gang violence. And even though it's dark out, the moon is, I think it's a full moon, or it was last night. So we've got a full moon right over this area. You can sort of see it on the other side of the tree over here. So it's not that dark, but they are looking for someone hiding either in the side yard or the shed between this automotive shop and this house. And they believe there is a person hiding that's involved with the shooting of this SUV that sent someone to the hospital with significant injuries. We don't know the condition of that person, but one neighbor here is suspicious that this is gang related, and she's really upset that the families involved have to go through this with someone hurt and then another person that they're looking for. But we really don't know. Police have not given us an update other than that this is a standoff with someone possibly hiding who's wanted for this shooting. That moon just came up. It just seemed like it came up over that house. It's like, I believe it was a full moon last night, but it's pretty full. The last few days of March, and people are just outside watching the police officers try to catch someone wanted in a shooting here on the east side of Santa Barbara. They have some firefighter paramedics standing by on 2 ends of Salinas Road. This is the 200 block. And they have still shut down a whole block of Cacique Street on one end and Eucalyptus Hill on the other. But the Bearcat is on Salinas Street in a driveway of a home. And they're shining a light on that home. And they're searching for a primary suspect in this shooting. And they actually probably have some decent light because there's a light on the corner, and then there's the moonlight, and then they've been using the sheriff's helicopter, and they've also been using a canine. At least one we've seen. When we got here, there were just a few police cars, and now there's possibly a dozen, and we saw all the officers head toward their trunks and get some of their guns out, and they walk towards that house armed. And we see a little movement toward the Bearcat. We see people on top of the Bearcat, and they're focused on this driveway and this side yard of this house. They are convinced that there is a shooter hiding just around the corner from the shooting that shot up a car that crashed and sent one person to the hospital around 5:20 p.m. We're seeing like 5 officers moving in. I'm going to be quiet and let you watch and listen. We just saw some SWAT officers go into the side yard with their flashlights on. This is the first time we've seen that many officers just go into the yard. Now it looks like they're flashing the flashlight on and off. We can't hear what's being said because of the helicopter flying overhead, but we definitely just saw about 5 officers go into the side yard between Kennedy's Automotive and the house where they think a gunman is hiding. It's someone wanted in a shooting that sent someone to the hospital around 5:20 tonight and led to a car crash. And we don't know if the person who went to the hospital was shot or if the car crash injured that person, but they said significant injuries. And that car is crashed on Eucalyptus Hill and is still there. Someone now is walking back to the Bearcat. So from the air, I would imagine they can keep an eye on any movement around that house. But they are really focused on the side yard of a home on the other side of Kennedy's Automotive, on the 200 block of Salinas, on the east side of Santa Barbara. They believe a suspected shooter is in hiding there. So this is a standoff with, they think, a shooting suspect in the side yard of a house. It has now been going on for 4 hours. We are on Salinas Street in the east side of Santa Barbara. This is a neighborhood that's close to Milpas. It's close to some elementary schools. The person who was shot, we believe, was in a car that crashed on Eucalyptus Hill around 5:20. And then neighbors who heard at least 4 shots fired believe they saw someone go into the yard of one home and then the yard of another home. And we just saw some SWAT team members go into the side yard next to Kennedy's Automotive. And a lot of people are asked to shelter in place. They received reverse 911 calls, but there are a couple dozen people out here on the corner of Salinas and Eucalyptus Hill, which also is Cacique Street on the other side. They're watching this play out and they're hoping it plays out peacefully. At least the people I talked to are hoping that they can take someone into custody without any more shootings. And this is all happening under a pretty full moon, which is probably helping them see in that yard. But now they've gone, it seems like, further into the yard so you can't see their flashlights. They're trying to find out if this person of interest is out here. And because they have a police canine, if he is, they would be able to tell, I would imagine. We did hear the dog or see the dog searching the cars in the automotive yard earlier. We'll have more coming up on the news at 10 on Fox 11 and on News Channel 3 and News Channel 12 at 11. But right now we're just live streaming this to let people know this is still going on for more than 4 hours. They have a Bearcat, that's a SWAT team vehicle, in a driveway on Salinas Street near the corner of Cacique and also on the other side, Eucalyptus Hill. And this all started with a shooting into a car that injured somebody on the 1400 block of Eucalyptus Hill. That car crashed and is sort of blocking the driveway of an apartment complex. So we are now past 4 hours. We can see an officer going back to the Bearcat. That's that vehicle. It looks like a military vehicle that the SWAT team uses. There are police units on every corner between Cacique and Salinas and Eucalyptus Hill. This all began with a car that crashed that had been shot at on the 1400 block, and it literally crashed into a tree in a driveway into an apartment building. And they've cordoned off that street. There's a good 4 blocks cordoned off with crime scene tape to keep people safe. People away from what's happening are being asked to shelter in place, but there are a handful, more than a handful, probably 50 people out here just watching. Some of them, though, cannot get home because their streets are blocked off, and there's officers just trying to keep them safe. They did evacuate the house where they are searching for this possible gunman, and they've had a helicopter circling for quite some time now. But it's a nice spring night. The moon is out. It is not cold out, and people are just watching patiently to see if they can resolve this situation and take someone into custody peacefully. And we're just waiting to see how it resolves or see how it ends. But they are very patient. These officers seem to be in no hurry to force anybody out. So we're going to keep showing you what's happening here on the east side of Santa Barbara. This is a standoff that began with a shooting into a car that sent one person to the hospital. We are going to get ready to report live on Fox 11 News at 10. And you can still stick with this stream, but you can also join us on Fox 11 News at 10 and also on News Channel 3 and News Channel 12 at 11. You can also get more information on our mobile app and on our website. I am going to just change phones to get some more juice on one phone to another. So, no, I've got two. I just want to go to this phone for the news. If you're just joining us or you've been watching all this time, we are still out here on the east side of Santa Barbara where they are trying to capture a suspected shooter in a shooting that happened into a car, like a drive-by. At least the car was being driven, it appears, when it was shot at, and it crashed and sent one person to the hospital. You know what I can do is I can just put this here. I'm going to charge this phone. Okay, so I'm going to hang up and call on a different phone. Again, we're out here on the east side of Santa Barbara. We've been watching a standoff with the Santa Barbara Police SWAT team and a potential suspect in a shooting that happened earlier tonight that they think might be hiding in a side yard or a shed next to Kennedy's Automotive on the corner of Salinas Street and Eucalyptus Hill. That's the east side of Santa Barbara, not far from Milpas. You can hear a sheriff's helicopter here. And we saw about 5 SWAT officers go into that side yard, and we haven't seen them come out yet. We're about 20 minutes from Fox 11 News, and we will switch over, but you can still keep an eye on this live stream as well. But again, if you're just joining us, this all began at 5:20 more than 4 hours ago when someone shot at a car, shot out the windows of a car, it appears, and a tire, and that car crashed, and the person in the car was taken to the hospital. And then neighbors who said they heard at least 4 shots fired thought someone went into the backyards of homes behind and beside Kennedy's Automotive. The Bearcat came in around 6:30 and has been in the driveway of the home where they believe someone's hiding ever since. And they went in and evacuated that home. A mother and a bunch of children came out with a dog, and they're all okay, and they're all just waiting on the corner with other people just watching this play out. Everybody's received multiple reverse 911s. If you're in the area, they're asking people to shelter in place. But if you're in this exact vicinity, they're saying not to come into this area. You cannot get back to your house or your car if it is on the other side of the yellow police tape. If we go over here, you can show this, and then we turn that way. Okay. Do you want to just be in the... Want me to see how that looks? I'm okay over here. Yeah. I think this is as long as you can see the Bearcat.
It's actually quite better here.
Yeah. You tell me. Okay.
Then I can still.
Oh, I thought I heard something. Okay. Okay. So we're just moving our shot, getting prepared for the 10 o'clock news. You know, right here might be your best shot, right here, actually. You do? This car is not blocking you? Okay. We're just setting up for our 10 o'clock news, and if you're just watching us now, it's such a weird juxtaposition. You see this beautiful, almost full moon. I think it was full yesterday. And then you see this police activity going on in the east side of Santa Barbara. Can you show that moon really quick just to show how gorgeous that is? It's just so ironic to have like a crime scene underneath a beautiful Santa Barbara moon. It's a little hazy, but this is a 4+ hour standoff, and they are looking for a shooting suspect who sent one person to the hospital after shooting at a black SUV that crashed up on Eucalyptus Hill. There are some officers that went in the side yard of the house where the Bearcat is in the driveway, and they believe that they are near a shooting suspect. And the sheriff's helicopter just keeps circling. If that's what they're doing, they're just keeping an eye out to see if there's any movement for this shooting suspect, who some people believe is hiding in a shed over that way. But they have completely searched this automotive shop as well. Again, they're looking for a gunman, a suspect in a shooting that sent one person to the hospital with significant injuries, and that person appears to have been shot at while driving a car, because that car crashed on Eucalyptus Hill around 5:20 tonight on the east side of Santa Barbara. Want to show just the crowd real quick? We're just going to turn our camera around just to show you that the people have been asked either to shelter in place or they've been asked to stay on the other side of that police tape. Some of them can't get back to their houses because of this standoff. Others are just trying to wait out what's happening. But at least one of the families out here was evacuated from the house where the SWAT team has pulled into the driveway in their Bearcat. So there was a much larger crowd out earlier despite the shelter in place. And now these are the people, either they can't get home or they're just trying to wait it out to see what happens. And the sheriff's helicopter just keeps circling. I do see some flashlights, looking behind the homes, behind this automotive place too. So back out here on Salinas and Cacique Street. On one side it's Cacique Street and the other side it's Eucalyptus Hill. You might know this area because it's near some elementary schools. They include Franklin and Cleveland elementary schools. A lot of people were out and about when this all happened, and they received a call to shelter in place, more than one call. But there is one of those big vehicles that police call a Bearcat. It's the SWAT team's vehicle, and they're in a driveway of a home that they evacuated because they think that a shooting suspect involved in this 5:20 p.m. shooting is in hiding near that house. This is just around the corner from where a car was shot at and crashed, and one person, we believe, that was in that car was taken to the hospital with significant injuries, and we have no update on that person's condition. So we're going to wrap this up, but you can watch us on Fox 11 News at 10, so just turn on that, and please keep checking our mobile app and our website to get more information. That's KEYT.com. And we will have updates continually throughout the night to see how this results, but we will be going live at the top of the hour on Fox 11 News at 10.
So Jessica says we can, we're just going to keep going live, but we can just share updates and we can take a break. We don't have to go continuously and take a little break. We'll just keep the shot up.
I asked them to edit Scott's video in the car, and either Scott Hennessy can talk over it or they can tell me to.
Okay, I think you might have texted Lindsay. She might just be completely off.
No, I did Cassian.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. I was going to just take a few.
We have Scott's video in the headlines of the show, then Scott H on camera quickly.
Oh, great, great.
Super.
I'm just going to dig through my stuff, see if I can get some night video.
To play it again, just tell me on you. Okay. Yeah, that's a good video about car.
Yeah, he got some good stuff.
Yeah. It looks to me like it's the driver that was shot, right?
I'm not sure. I didn't get to see the damage too much. Oh, I'm good. Okay, mic is back on.
They've got to be doing some regular news though, because they had that officer involved shooting too.
Yep.
So I guess
See
we're
what
not
the
going to
move
just.
is here.
Yeah. We were going to show the people. You know, that corner's good enough to show them.
So what do you think? Oh, you want to go people? Or do you
Well, I
want
mean, I want to do this.
You're searching for a suspect. Apparently you're the police officer. For your safety, please go inside your home or business and stay inside until we have completed our search. There's a person or persons who are hiding from the police.
That's the sheriff's helicopter.
No.
So they're telling people to stay in their home.
Does that mean they didn't find him there?
They're still searching. Now this car looks like it's not moving. It's just like
What do you want to show? Do you want to show the Bearcat? Do you want to show the people waiting? We can do all of it. Maybe.
After a second, I thought I didn't have my keys in around my neck. I want to show the Bearcat and show you that there's people out watching, and then up the street is where the car was shot at. So Bearcat, up the street the car was shot at, people watching back on the Wow. You want to record that for later? You want to record that at all? I mean that audio? Oh, it stopped. They'll do it again though.
He's doing it again.
They'll come back over.
It'll come back around. When he comes back.
Okay. I'm not hearing them talk to me though. I'm called in on 3939. Should I not be on 39? Oh, there.
It should be the same channel.
Okay.
We're still live.
I've been on for 17 minutes though. No, I don't. Oh, I hear you. Okay.
Let's maybe scooch in.
Okay, I hear them now. Okay, so you want me to move that so we don't get it taken?
Sorry?
Want me to move that to you?
Maybe we
Okay.
put it behind this car.
Okay. Okay. Wow, really? Wow. Okay, I'll talk slow. Oh, this is Fox 11. We're 3 minutes out, but they haven't talked to me. But I definitely heard them do a mic check. And Scott's going to have in heads the car in the daylight from Scott Sheehan's video. Yes, ABC 123 123 123 123. ABC 123 123. 3 second delay. Okay. Yes, 3 second. 3 second. And let us know how long to go.
75 to 90 seconds.
A 90-second long. Okay, we can do that. So we'll do like 20, 20, 20. Goodbye. We're going to do like 3 different show and tells. Okay. Okay. There is a sheriff's helicopter circling and it's telling people to shelter in place. So if that gets really noisy, I'll let them hear that. I hear them. They're saying hands up.
Yeah, they're hands up. Just point the mic that way just in case it's issue.
No worries.
I can't get it.
That's fine. And we hear them shouting at someone in the backyard, so we might have something happening.
I'm back on you.
They're telling someone to get down.
Stand down. Yeah, get down or stand down.
Oh, please don't shoot anybody. Please don't shoot anyone. Please don't shoot anyone. They don't have that video in, so we're just doing live.
Good.
They probably have it in the heads, though.
I can feed them new stuff.
Yeah, don't even worry about video. They want live shot. 90-second live shot. Here we go. Here we go. Scott, we just heard some SWAT team members in the side yard on a home on Salina Street where their Bearcat is. They are looking for a suspected shooter. We heard them saying stand down or something like that. They also have a helicopter searching overhead. Now this all began up the road on Eucalyptus Hill. There is a car that crashed into a palm tree up there. It had its passenger side windows shot out. It had its back tire shot out, and one man was taken to the hospital with significant injuries. Over this way, they've been asking people to shelter in place, but some people can't get back to their homes, and they're outside looking at what is happening, hoping it is resolved. It's going on almost 5 hours now. Again, it started at 5:20. But back out here on Salinas, right near the corner of Eucalyptus Hill and also Cacique Street, there are SWAT team members in a side yard right next to Kennedy's Automotive, and they have been shouting, get down, or something of that nature to a suspected shooter who neighbors saw go in a backyard. They also heard at least 4 shots fired. We don't have the condition of the person taken to the hospital, but they have had a sheriff's helicopter circling and telling people in English and in Spanish to shelter in place and that they are looking for a suspected shooter who could be armed and dangerous. We'll keep giving you updates live out here on the east side of Santa Barbara. I'm Tracy Lair, Fox 11 News. Clear. All right, gosh, something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Should I leave the mic on or no?
Yeah. You probably won't be able to pick it up with that. It's quiet. I heard jingling.
Just
Okay.
for the live stream?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. We are back out here on the east side of Santa Barbara. We just watched some SWAT team members leave the side yard of a home where they think a shooting suspect is holed up or in hiding. He is wanted for shooting at an SUV that crashed into a palm tree on Eucalyptus Hill around 5:20. The side passenger windows were completely shot out and the back tires seemed to have been shot and ruptured. And that person was taken to the hospital. We're told it's a man with significant injuries. Again, that happened at 5:20 on Eucalyptus Hill. This is Salina Street, where neighbors, they thought they saw someone hiding in a backyard. They've been focusing on a shed. They also have a sheriff's helicopter going around, and what they were using the speaker on the helicopter to tell people to shelter in place. They were saying it in English and Spanish. In addition to that, they had reverse 911 calls where they told people to shelter in place. But there are at least 60 people here on the corner of Salinas and Eucalyptus Hill, which also turns into Cacique Street, and they're just watching this play out. Some of them cannot return home, and one family was evacuated from the home where the Bearcat, which is the police SWAT team vehicle, is parked in the driveway. We heard some SWAT team officers in the side yard telling people, or speaking loudly, like get down, or something like stand down, stay down, but we didn't see them take anyone into custody. They're still really focused on this side backyard of this home right next to Kennedy's Automotive, and it's just around the corner from where that black SUV crashed and sending one person to the hospital with, we're told, significant injuries. But again, this is going to be going on 5 hours, this standoff. The Bearcat came in around 6:30 though, and they have about a block cordoned off on each side. That includes Cacique Street, Eucalyptus Hill, and Salina Street, here on the east side of Santa Barbara, not far from Milpas, not far from elementary schools. And some families cannot return to their cars or their homes or even their automotive business right now because it is all taped off. And we will have more updates coming up on News Channel 12 and News Channel 3. You can also go to our mobile app and our website. We talked to one neighbor around 6 o'clock who said they heard at least 4 gunshots fired around 5:20, and that was when we saw the black SUV crashed and one person had already been taken to the hospital. There's a lot of police presence here, including the SWAT team. There's canines, there's also firefighter paramedics, and they're all focused on a house on the 200 block of Salina Street, and we have just been patiently waiting it out, watching what the police are doing under a full moon on the east side of Santa Barbara, almost full moon. It was full yesterday, I believe. But the sheriff's helicopter's really been out, or the law enforcement helicopter, and it has had a spotlight at one point, but right now it's just circling and circling, possibly sending a message to the shooting suspect they're looking for that they're not giving up. We just heard some gunfire. We just heard something that sounded like shots fired in the backyard. Could it be just a flash device?
I think it could have been something else.
Well, we heard some loud noises coming from the backyard.
The other officers would have been.
They would have been.
They are in a shed, so.
There's several officers. I hear some kind of noise in the backyard. There's several officers in a home besides Kennedy's Automotive looking for a shooting suspect. It's possible they stood on something that made a loud sound, but we're not clear on what we're hearing. But there's definitely some SWAT team officers combing the backyard of this home on Salina Street, right next to Kennedy's Automotive, on the east side of Santa Barbara, where they're searching for an armed suspect who shot at a car that crashed, sending one person to the hospital at 5:20 p.m. And all these officers are wearing protective gear, and that includes face masks. And they've been out here for hours now, just patiently waiting to find this person. They've searched through the automotive shop. They've cordoned off the streets here, including the 1400 block of Eucalyptus Hill. and the Cacique Street at the corner of Salinas. That's the 1300 block of Cacique Street. It's closed off for a block. And there's still about 60 people out here just watching patiently. Some of them cannot go home because of the crime scene tape and the police cars that have cordoned off this neighborhood for their own protection. They've also had a speaker from a sheriff's helicopter warn people to shelter in place, saying that they're looking for a suspected shooter. And they said that in English and Spanish about 15 minutes ago. As they circled, they came down low and you could hear them making that announcement. But a reverse 911 call, more than one of them, went out earlier tonight asking people to shelter in place. They're not in any rush. They seem to be waiting this person out, but they definitely had some SWAT team members go into the side yard there. We saw their flashlights, shining lights near some sheds. But they've turned off the lights on the Bearcat. Okay, so earlier the Bearcat was totally shining lights on the front of the house, and now those lights are out. But they still have this light on.
And also the emerged, like the red and whites, the red and blues too. So there's a lot of dark now.
Huh. The only light we can see in the house where they think the suspect might be hiding is in the backyard. But right up the street, they still have that crashed car that's at the top of Eucalyptus Hill on the 1400 block, and that car, we believe, is a black Dodge Durango, and the passenger windows are completely shot out and the back tires are out, and it crashed into a big palm tree right at the entrance to an apartment complex, and that whole block, we're hearing something happen. They're breaking some kind of glass in the backyard of this house. We're going to listen. It's hard to know what we're hearing, but that did sound like glass, and earlier there was some loud sounds of something breaking. They evacuated that house hours ago, and the woman who had just come home was with her kids and their dog, and she was holding a rosary, and she was really upset about this, and she was suspecting it was gang violence, and she cannot go home. Her husband alerted police to seeing somebody go up a driveway and possibly into their backyard, and that's when police brought the Bearcat out and put it in their driveway on Salinas Street, on the 200 block of Salinas Street, right around the corner from where this car was shot at and where it crashed, sending one person to the hospital, a man to the hospital with significant injuries, is what we're told. The police presence has been so patient. They have police units in different driveways. We're hearing something go on in that backyard. It sounds like they're closing in on somebody, but we're not sure. You can definitely hear something going on in the backyard, either broken or being stepped on wood and glass, or something is making a crunching sound. They have less than lethal force. We saw those guns. They have sort of an orange part to them, so it's possible that that's what they're doing to try to get this person to come out. There's armed officers just standing at the corner, and they are just watching what's going on, and they're making sure that nobody crosses this police tape. They're also protecting evidence up the street where the cars crashed. But again, we just watched SWAT officers go in there. A few came out, but some are still back there, and you can definitely hear some activity in the backyard of a house where they believe a shooting suspect is holed up or in hiding after a shooting sent one man to the hospital with significant injuries, and that shooting took place when a car was shot at, an SUV that crashed into a palm tree right up the hill on Eucalyptus Hill Road. And there is still a helicopter flying overhead. If you live on the east side of Santa Barbara, you've been hearing that helicopter since about 6 o'clock tonight. At one point it was using a light to light up that house. Now it's dark in the backyard. It seems like they've turned off their lights. They're talking to somebody back there. Officers are shouting some kind of commands at someone. It looks like they are making contact with someone in that backyard. I heard them say now. There's SWAT team officers shouting commands to somebody, possibly the shooting suspect in the backyard of a house on Salina Street right now. It sounds like they made contact with someone because you heard another voice come out, but they are shouting commands in a side or backyard of a home right next to Kennedy's Automotive, and this is part of their standoff and search for a shooting suspect who shot at a car that crashed, sending one person to the hospital around 5:20 tonight off of Eucalyptus Hill on the east side of Santa Barbara. We're going to have another live report on Fox 11 News at 10 in just a few minutes, but we're just waiting to hear more from the backyard. They turned out all the lights, and they were focused on some sheds, and now we heard glass break, and we heard some kind of like crunching going on, and we heard them making some kind of commands, but with the helicopter flying overhead, it is hard to hear. Yes, I hear you. Mic check, ABC 123. We have a 3-second delay, and we're going to be live on Fox 11 News in 3 minutes. Okay. Two minutes, okay.
Do the same shot?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because 660 to, no worries. Something is happening. If nobody's there, that's just how they're giving people a chance when they look in the sheds, I guess. They're just giving them, if he's there. Every possible, yeah, they're trying to make sure they don't take a life here. Can you still see the car if you shoot up the street? I'm just wondering.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll just do ABC. Yeah, we're just 60 seconds. But if we hear sound, we'll just focus back to there. They're just wrapping up weather. Okay, stand by. What we can tell you is they're behind a home on Salinas Street. If you look behind me, they turned out most of the lights, but we heard some glass breaking, and we also heard officers from the Santa Barbara Police SWAT team give commands. But we are not certain if they found the shooting suspect they're looking for. They are looking for somebody who shot at a car right up the street. This is Eucalyptus Hill. And this car had its passenger windows shot out around 5:20 today. Its rear tires seemed to be shot out, and it crashed into a palm tree, sending one man to the hospital with significant injuries. I just also want to show you, they have told everyone to shelter in place, but there are a lot of people that can't get back to their houses, and other people just trying to watch how this is resolved. But back out here at the house on the 200 block of Salinas Street, they evacuated this house and they brought in the Bearcat, that's the SWAT team vehicle, around 6:30 tonight. And there are about a handful of officers right in the home behind me. But right now it's calm, and we're just waiting to see if they have found anyone. And we'll bring you the latest news on our mobile app and our website and in more reports. Reporting live on the east side of Santa Barbara, I'm Tracy Lair, Fox 11 News. They went to break. That was 21 minutes of news already.
Wow.
This is an hour-long show, isn't it?
It is.
It's not like the weekend where it's 30 minutes, so I guess they are going to come back to us.
Yeah, at 30, 40, at 30 and another time as well.
Okay.
And then 11 o'clock as well.
Okay.
Put this backpack down and stretch my legs.
Oh, I don't blame you. Okay. They're having mic problems with Kelsey.
Come back to us.
So now we're at, wow, we've been on this one for 44 minutes. It's now been exactly 5 hours. It was 10:20 or something. But I don't know if you can call it a standoff for 5 hours, but 5 hours since someone was shot. And the way they were shot through the passenger seat windows, I mean, they totally could have been shot in the upper body, right?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
So someone might not make it.
Depending on what broke the window.
Right.
100%. Next hit, aim for about 90 seconds. 10:30.
Okay, 10:30.
Anyway,
I wish we could get an officer or even someone to interview them.
I'm going to turn this mic down for just a second.
We're continuing with our live stream on the corner of Salinas and Eucalyptus Hill, which is also right along Cacique Street. On the 200 block of Salinas, there are SWAT team officers in the backyard of a home, and it seems like they've given commands and they've been searching for someone, but it doesn't look like they've caught anyone, but they definitely were. We heard broken glass, we heard sounds, and we heard commands, and they still have a law enforcement. Oh, I'm hearing noise now too. This is behind a home where they think someone's hiding. You hear that?
Yes, pumping.
So that could be less than lethal force. And I think they have a canine out there too. We're just around the corner where a car was shot at 5:20, sending one person to the hospital. That car crashed. At one point they had all the lights on pointing to this house, and now they've turned everything off. We're hearing more noises. like rubber bullets, that kind of sound? Or something. Okay, okay. We're hearing noises behind that house. That's where the officers are searching for someone. At one point, the helicopter came low enough to tell people to shelter in place and to say that they were looking for a shooter who was involved in a shooting of a car right up on the top of Eucalyptus Street on the 1400 block, and that car ran into a palm tree, and it looked like all of its side windows on the passenger side were shot out, and the back 2 tires were deflated, and they sent one person to the hospital. And around 6:30, they brought in a Bearcat and closed down all these roads because a neighbor told officers he saw someone in his property. And they evacuated that house. A woman and children and a dog came out, and they were worried that this was gang violence, and they were worried about the families involved, and they're all hoping this is resolved peacefully. And it's been a real waiting game and a lot of patience from all of these officers. There's a lot of Santa Barbara police units out here. Some are parked in driveways, some are blocking the roads to keep people safe. Here comes a SWAT officer, is walking back to the corner of Cacique and Salinas toward Eucalyptus Hill. We're also hearing a canine, and this SWAT officer is talking to some other officers that are holding down the fort by the crime scene tape. Okay, an officer that was protecting the corner is now going back there with the SWAT officer. It's possible that they're asking them to watch another side of the house because they're trying to keep people from coming into the streets, which would be the 200 block of Salinas Street on this end. Officers are trying to make sure that no one comes out of their houses right now on the 200 block of Salinas Street. They're trying to keep people behind this yellow tape.
Another one's coming out. He's got a gas mask on.
Oh, interesting. So maybe they were using some kind of a flashbang so they can't breathe very well.
He's got a gas.
Maybe they're trying to smoke this person out if they truly believe they're in there. The canine must have known something. Again, we are just waiting for information. There is a standoff that started at 5:20, 5 hours now. And they're trying to find a shooting suspect peacefully. And I'm going to do a mic check because we're going to do another live report on Fox 11 News at 10. Mic check, ABC 123. ABC 123.
Can you ask them if I have time for a battery switch?
Do we have time for a battery switch, Ed? We're making our equipment work overtime today, just like all the officers. ABC 123, 123, 123. This is a 5+ hour standoff now. We're a minute out. We'll do this and then we'll change batteries. Okay, we'll make it. And how long do you want me to tell you what's happening? Like 60 seconds or 90 seconds? Okay.
Same thing?
I think so. Yep. Here we go. Scott, this is 5+ hours now. They're focused on a yard behind a home on the 200 block of Salinas Street. We've heard a lot of activity with SWAT officers in that backyard. They've been making commands. They have turned out the lights. It is quiet now, but earlier we heard glass breaking. We also have a lot of police tape cordoned off, and if you look up the street on Eucalyptus Street, you can see that this started with a car that was shot at. Its passenger windows were shot out, its back tires were deflated, and one person was shot and taken to the hospital with significant injuries. They have been telling people to shelter in place, but if you look over on the corner of Eucalyptus and Salinas, there are about 60 people still outside watching what happened. Some of these people are just curious, but most of them cannot go home because their streets have been cordoned off, and some were even evacuated from the home that they're looking inside. But in addition to that, they have a sheriff's helicopter that's been circling, and at times it would speak in English and Spanish with a megaphone telling people to stay calm, to shelter in place, and to say that they were looking for a shooting suspect. But back out here behind me at the house, they've turned the lights off, but there are officers right behind a home on the 200 block of Salinas Street, and there's also a Bearcat, and right now you can see one of the SWAT officers coming this way. They're being patient. They're trying to wait this out. They do believe they have a suspect in that yard. Reporting live on the east side of Santa Barbara, Tracy Lair, Fox 11 News. Thanks. Yeah, you don't know what's happening.
Okay, I'm going to turn the mic down for a quick battery. I'm not getting levels. Hold on.
Okay.
Stand by. Oh, I'm getting levels. We're good.
All right. We're back to our live stream. We're reporting on the 5th hour of a standoff over on the east side of Santa Barbara on Salinas and Eucalyptus Hill. Also on the corner, on the other side, it's Cacique Street. Yes, sir.
A local state of emergency was declared in Nashville. Officials say
We're just waiting to see what happens on the backyard where there are some SWAT team members. They've turned off the lights. They're behind a house on the 200 block of Salinas Street. And this is an area that has been in standoff mode for about 5 hours now. They have a neighbor that said they thought they saw someone go in their backyard. They evacuated that house around 6:30 and brought in the Bearcat with the SWAT team. But this all started at 5:20 when a car had its passenger side windows shot out, and it appears they had their back tires ruptured in some fashion. One person, we believe in that car, crashed into a palm tree and was taken to the hospital with significant injuries. We don't know that person's condition. We're told it's a man. And from there, they started closing off streets and expanding the area because the neighbors who heard at least 4 shots fired said they saw someone go in their yard. They evacuated the home they're in, and now it's very quiet back there. They are waiting this out. They believe they have a suspect holed up, possibly in some sheds. And we did hear some commands given and some broken glass, but we have not seen them take anyone into custody. The sheriff's helicopter has left the area, but that helicopter was letting people know they should shelter in place. And there are some people still outside just waiting to see how this resolves, what happens next. And some of them cannot go back because their neighborhoods on their houses have been cordoned off, so they can't go back over that crime scene tape, including the people who live in the house where they are. They have been searching all over Kennedy's Automotive. They thought someone possibly could be hiding there. They went in with a canine, they found nobody, but they did clear that area, and then they focused on this side yard of this home. Even the Bearcats' lights are off, but they're parked in the driveway right now. Again, we're on the east side of Santa Barbara. This all began at 5:20 when a car was shot at and someone went to the hospital after it crashed. And they have cordoned off at least a block on Cacique Street, which comes right into Salinas Street, and on the other side of Salinas it turns into Eucalyptus Hill. And this is an Eastside neighborhood next to 2 elementary schools. And now it's after dark, and they are patiently waiting this out. It seems that they think that this person, this suspected shooter, is in this yard or this side yard of this house. Can we show you up the hill from Eucalyptus Street? I want to just see if we might be able to get a shot of what looks like a black Dodge Durango with its passenger window shot out. It's where those flashing lights are. It was on San Ynez Street and Eucalyptus Hill. That intersects at the front of an apartment complex, and that's where the SUV crashed into a palm tree. And that person was already taken to the hospital when we got here, but there are firefighter paramedics on the end of both ends of Salinas Street right now. They were told to stand by in case they're needed. I actually don't see those fire trucks anymore, so that's interesting. Maybe they're on call, but we did see some firefighters walk this way. But right now, we've seen some SWAT team members come and go out of that backyard, and it's quiet again. The house where they are was evacuated hours ago, and we did interview the resident who said she was coming home when they were told that they had to leave, and they walked them down the street. She was carrying her dog and a rosary and had her teenage kids with her, and she was really upset for the families of the people involved. She just knew that it can't be easy to be related to the person who was injured or related to the person that they're searching for. It appears that they're just turning the lights out on their Bearcat and their patrol units. But you still know they're in the backyard. There's still some SWAT team members back there. You can hear movement back there. There was definitely a canine working it earlier. I do see someone with a flashlight back there. And if we make a full circle, you can show you it's dwindling down the amount of people who are out in here now. There's just a couple dozen, but earlier there were maybe 60 or 75 people out here just watching what was going on. This is their neighborhood. They want to see what happens, and a lot of them are just hoping that it ends with no one getting hurt. I mean, that's what the mother said who was evacuated. But these folks have been out here most of the night, and they're just doing what the police asked of them, and that is to stay behind the yellow tape. We were told we could stay right here. We have been moved several times just for our own safety, but the focus is on the yard right on the other side of Kennedy's Automotive and a home on the 200 block of Salinas. We're literally on the corner of Salinas and Eucalyptus Hill on one end and Cacique Street on the other. This is the east side of Santa Barbara. And now we see some SWAT team members. They're climbing up toward the roof.
Where is that?
Can you see them climbing up where the light is?
Where? Direct me.
Okay, so if there's a light on top of the roof and you can see some officers.
I see 'em.
Okay.
Yeah,
Or at least they're on some kind of high step. It's possible that they're looking inside an attic.
There's a shed in the back.
A shed.
In the back.
They said there was
Pointing
two
back.
sheds. Okay, now they have a canine. They really believe this person is holed up in a shed. So they have a light on a shed, and they have been talking about this shed earlier, and it looks like they might be going in. The canine is alerting on something in this shed that's behind the house on the 200 block of Salinas. And my videographer says he can see that they have gas masks on. I know they were equipped with less than lethal force. We saw them take those kind of weapons out of their police cars.
They breached the door. Door's cracked.
It looks like they're entering a shed. It's still very quiet. This is the most movement we've seen in a while. They have gas masks on, they have protective gear on, and they're from the Santa Barbara Police SWAT team. And they're focused in on a shed behind a house on the 200 block of Salinas.
They're inserting something into the door. Oh, it's a crowbar.
They're trying to
taking the door
they're trying
out.
to open the
They're
door.
breaching the door.
It's possible that that canine is telling them that there's someone in there. They have been focused on this backyard
They've
shed for
removed the
most of the
door.
night. They've removed the door, and this is like 5+ hours in. Now they can get into the shed and see if someone's in there. We're watching some SWAT team officers enter a shed in the backyard of a home on Salinas Street where a shooting suspect they believe is hiding. He's wanted for shooting at a car that crashed, sending one man to the hospital. It's right next to Kennedy's Automotive, if you know that area of the east side of Santa Barbara. They're shining a light in that shed.
Someone's coughing.
It looks like they might be getting close. They're wearing gas masks, and you can hear someone possibly coughing.
Oh, one of them's not.
Was that the person?
Yeah, no, I think one of the sheriffs is coughing. He's not wearing one.
Okay. They're using something to maybe smoke out the person that might be hiding in this shed, but we have not seen them apprehend anyone yet. You can see their flashlights. You can see them up high on a shed that they used some kind of a crowbar to open the door. And they have a police canine with them, which seemed to have alerted to some movement there. It's just on the other side of that roof there on this house that is right behind Kennedy's Automotive on the 200 block of Salinas Street, right around the corner from where a car was shot at and crashed on Eucalyptus Hill.
Looks like it entered. They've entered.
So my videographer says he can see them through the viewfinder entering that shed. It seems like a pretty large shed, so we'll see what they find. They're being patient and trying to do this without anyone getting injured. Again, they're looking for someone who shot at a car that crashed, sending one person to the hospital around 5:20 on the east side of Santa Barbara. And this is 5 hours into a standoff right now. Oh, they just turned out the light. They turned out their lights. And it seems like they're high on the shed, like in the top, like the attic part of a shed. I don't know. It just seems so much higher off the ground. But it's a one-story house that they're behind. You can hear the dog making some kind of sounds.
They're exiting?
So now it looks like the officers are coming out. We don't know if they've got anyone or if they didn't find anyone. But we'll hopefully we'll be able to see. Is that another person?
That's an officer.
Okay. You've got good eyes.
I got a good camera.
Yeah, that too. Again, we're giving you a live stream of a standoff on the east side of Santa Barbara that's been going on for more than 5 hours now, and SWAT team officers are in the backyard. They got into a shed where they thought someone was hiding. We have not seen them take anyone into custody, but they definitely used some kind of a smoke device in that shed to see if they could get someone out. There's a canine back there, but he's being so quiet now, but earlier was barking. And this is the person they're looking for who was involved in a shooting. Someone shot out an SUV that crashed into a palm tree, that completely shot out the side windows and possibly the back tires before the SUV crashed into a palm tree on Eucalyptus Hill right at Santa Ynez Road on the east side of Santa Barbara. One person went to the hospital with significant injuries, we're told, but we don't know how that person is. And then a neighbor said they saw someone on their property, and they told the police, and that's when they brought in the SWAT team. And they cordoned off a good portion of this east side neighborhood, and they've asked people to shelter in place. There are a few people still out here that can't get home because of the police tape. And they did evacuate that house hours ago. And now they've turned off their lights, and it's almost like they're just waiting. I think I see some officers going back. They're going back to their, oh, there's the canine. The canine's going back to its car. But the Bearcat's still in the driveway with the lights off. Gosh, such a well-behaved dog. It just... but now it's going back, or it's smelling. Maybe it's trying to pick up a scent? Do you hear an officer cough?
Yeah, someone coughed.
Okay, they're definitely using some kind of a smoke bomb type device, it seems. Because some of the SWAT team is wearing a gas mask type devices. But they just brought the canine dog back out. They could have done that because it's smoky.
Mm-hmm. There's still an officer in the back shed.
They've turned off all their lights, and oh, now they're shooting a flashlight on the front of the house. Do you see that? Near the garage. It's possible that the suspect got in the house. And it looks like the police canine just let the dog go back in the car. And the Bearcat, which is the SWAT team vehicle, still in that parking lot, but the lights are off. And here comes another SWAT officer going behind the crime scene tape and walking towards the Bearcat. Oh, that's with another canine. So now they have more than one dog here. Or they always did. It's just you're seeing them both now. Amazing to see those dogs in action because they're so well behaved. The officers are being so quiet now. Some are coming out of that driveway with their flashlights. It's possible they didn't find anyone in that shed, but they are not ending this standoff, at least yet. Here comes another officer walking to the corner of Salinas and Eucalyptus Hill, and here comes some other officers going toward that officer. I'm not sure if they've called people back or they're just having a conference call, but they're bringing some officers back from Eucalyptus Hill and back onto Salinas Street. And one of them is on the phone. But I still see a flashlight in the backyard. Now they're coming out. There's people coming out of the backyard of a house where they thought they were focused on a shed. And that was just a loud car leaving Salinas Street on the other side of this incident.
One officer left.
It's not clear if they have given up on searching that shed or if they're focused on another area, but they definitely broke into that shed and did something to smoke someone out if they were even in there. And we did hear one of the officers coughing. There was definitely some kind of smoke there. But it didn't appear that they captured anyone, at least from our vantage point. It almost looks like they're wrapping something up. Does that mean they didn't find anything? It's really unclear from where we're standing, but we're seeing a lot of SWAT team officers head back to the Bearcat. And we will be looking for answers from a police officer as soon as we can get a hold of one of the officers that can talk to us. Again, this started at 5:20 when a shooting happened. Someone fired into a car that crashed on Eucalyptus Hill, sending one person to the hospital with significant injuries. And they brought out the Bearcat because a neighbor said that they saw someone on their property. They have all the lights off, and now the SWAT officers seem to be walking back to their car. Wow. It's possible they just didn't find this person. Or if they did, we're just not seeing it because it's so dark. Officers, are they wrapping this up?
Yeah.
Does that mean they caught somebody?
Not at the moment. I think they're trying to regroup with the tactical team. I'm not sure what.
Got it.
They have,
But does that mean you guys are leaving?
We're clearing it so we can open up to the public.
They're going to open the
At
roads.
least it's safe here for the residents.
So this person was not found. Is it possible to get an officer to come at least clarify this? Okay, and we'll get out of the street. Okay. So they're going to open this road. I'm not sure if they're going to search somewhere else, but it looks like they're wrapping up this location. They searched that shed, and it doesn't look like they caught anyone. At least they're not telling us they did. But a lot of the officers and the canines just went back to that unit. So maybe they're moving this search somewhere else. So for many, many hours now, they've been focused on a shed, and it appears they got in that shed, but it's not clear what they found there. Yep, we're gonna move to the sidewalk.
Okay, give me 1 second, boss.
So we're told they're going to open this street back up. We're not sure if they're moving the search to another location or not. Oh, they're still looking back there. The light is still on by that shed.
Yeah, they're still looking for something.
Huh. Either they have someone in custody or someone got away, because it looks like they're wrapping up their search on this street. Again, this was a standoff, but they're changing things up. We're on Salina Street near Eucalyptus Hill, where a car crashed into a palm tree after shots were fired into that car, injuring someone that sent someone to the hospital, a man with injuries, significant injuries we're told, but we have not been told if they have stopped searching in this backyard because they didn't find anyone, but it looks like they might be clearing this road. It is unusual not to have a public information officer out here like when they have a standoff this long, but we're out here and we haven't been able to talk to an officer to confirm anything. We're literally just showing you what the neighbors are seeing and dealing with. And it's all Santa Barbara Police and the Santa Barbara Police SWAT team. But it looks like they're getting ready to move their search. They searched a shed behind a home on Salina Street, and it's not clear what they found. We do see some cars moving down that way. That means they can open the street, and that but it's still not clear if they've found a shooting suspect or they're moving to a new location. A lot of unanswered questions out here on the east side of Santa Barbara, where they've been looking for a shooter for 5+ hours now. We can try to get some answers and see if an officer can talk to us. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask some questions here. Is it possible to get an officer to talk to us?
Yeah, I'm out here. Did you talk to the PD's PIF?
That's what we've
From
been
the
looking
sheriff's
for.
office.
Oh, you are. So the sheriff's office is helping with this. Okay. We have not been able to get a PIO. Minutes out from a live shot. Can I say you're opening this road back up? Or is there a PIO I can talk to?
Right now.
Okay, no worries. I just don't want to worry people if there's no fear here.
Yeah, no, it's safe for the public.
It's
That's what
safe.
we're trying to-
Can we say whether they're still searching for someone or did they apprehend somebody?
We're actively investigating the incident, but at the moment it's safe for the public to go back to the residence.
So I'm not going to say they caught somebody. I mean, but at least you're not releasing that
Yeah, it's
information
an
yet.
active investigation right now.
So that means they're still looking, but not in that shed
Correct.
or something like that. Okay. So they're going to clear this area. It's still an active investigation. They have not said whether they found someone, but if they're clearing the area and it's not, and it is safe for the public, and they're going to open the street, then then they didn't find who they were looking for. That's what it appears. But he wouldn't give me a clear on that. It's unfortunate that there's not a public information officer out here that we can ask, but they are trying to find somebody for us. That's what they said.
You think we could get away with being in the center again for 11?
No, because they're going to
They're
open
gonna
the street.
clear now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when this is completely clear, we can go back up to the car. I mean, we can go show the car that was shot at.
Yeah.
Yes, we're trying to figure out where to go. They're about to open this street. It appears this area is not a dangerous area right now. It's still an active investigation, but it's not clear whether they found somebody. But they're about to open up this street. There's still a Bearcat in that driveway, though.
So stand center with
Okay.
the alley here. With
Okay.
The alley.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah.
But I guess we can't go up there until it's
Yeah, we probably, you know
Okay.
what? I'd be surprised if we could
okay.
at all.
Although that would be nice to see.
Just
Okay.
scoot a little to your left. Stay right there.
90 seconds.
All right,
Okay.
come on.
Okay, this is the top of News Channel 12. Wow, they're allowed back over there. Okay, so the automotive. Okay, wow. We don't have time to walk up there, but we will after this live shot. We want to show you the car that was shot at.
They say your mic's.
My mic's not on, or it's not doing well.
Check the bottom.
Okay. You want to
Make sure it's tight.
Oh, maybe that's what's happening.
Testing.
ABC 123. I'm on this channel 123 123. We're getting ready to do a live shot here on the corner of Salinas and Eucalyptus Hill, and the officers seem to be wrapping this search up, but they have not said whether they found anybody. They're about to open the street again, though. It is not clear if they found somebody. They said it's still an active investigation. Okay, stand by. This is still an active investigation, but they are wrapping up the search behind a house on Salinas Street. They were going into a shed. You could hear them, and they had a K9 unit, but they're all coming out now, and they are going to open this Salinas Street right on the corner of Eucalyptus Hill. They're not saying whether they found anyone, but they were looking inside a shed. They broke down a door in that shed, and right around the corner, around 5:20 tonight, They had a car that was shot at. It was an SUV. That car had its passenger side window shot out, its back tires blown, and it crashed into a palm tree, sending one man to the hospital, and that man had significant injuries. They asked people to shelter in place. They sent out reverse 911s, but right now a lot of the sheriff's deputies that helped out and also the Santa Barbara Police SWAT team members are wrapping up this investigation, but it is not clear whether they found who they're looking for. We're still waiting to talk to a police officer. But now people can go back to Kennedy's Automotive and people can get back to their cars that were closed off and back to their homes, but they're still calling it an active investigation, but it is not clear if they caught who they were looking for. They were looking for a shooter who shot at a car and sending one man to the hospital around 5:20 tonight. We'll try to get you more information and we'll put it on our mobile app and our website as soon as it becomes available. Reporting live on the east side of Santa Barbara, I'm News Channel reporter Tracy Lair. Thanks. So no PIOs anymore? Are they out of style?
No, it should be Sergeant Ragsdale.
Oh, really? Did you guys catch any? And we're waiting for a sergeant to talk to us.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, can we just point that way? Okay. So for several hours they were focused on a shed right behind a house next to Kennedy's Automotive. They did not find anyone in that shed, so they're wrapping up this part of the investigation. It's still an active search for a shooter that's wanted for shooting at a car. We believe it's a Dodge SUV. It's crashed up on Eucalyptus Hill into a palm tree, and the windows were shot out and it looked like the back tires were blown, and one person went to the hospital. But right now the SWAT officers from Santa Barbara PD and also the Sheriff's Department that came out to help and some canines are wrapping it up. They're going to open Salina Street right at Eucalyptus on this end and Cacique on the other side, and they are going to still call this an active investigation. It appears they have not found the shooting suspect, but they are still searching, and they did evacuate people from that house. Those people are going to be allowed to go back in now, but we will give you more information on our mobile app and website as soon as it becomes available. We're waiting to talk to a sergeant with the Santa Barbara PD to get you more information. But one person was shot at tonight and sent to the hospital while driving, and another person is on the lam. At least it appears to be the case. On the east side of Santa Barbara, again, Tracy Lair with News Channel. So we're going to just try to get a sergeant's interview and then maybe go back up to the car. Wow.
Mike might be already here or already on his way, but that's okay.
To bring you another battery?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey Rick, we have a okay, if we're gonna wait for a little bit, we were gonna walk away. I'm gonna do some gear drops.
Okay.
Supposed to show up. Who are you?
Let me see if they said anything. Wow.
Do you think you can?
Because I'm going to say
Do you think you can just continue the stream for a second?
Oh yeah. Are you gonna just lay it there, and I'll just watch through the viewfinder? That's perfect. Thanks. Thanks. I didn't find anyone in the shed. They're opening. Opening street. Still active investigation.
Hello.
Hi, are you our
News
officer?
release out, so
Okay.
you should have
So,
it in your
so
email.
you did not catch anyone in that shed.
Definitely just put a news release out. There's no public safety emergency at this
Does
time.
that mean you did catch somebody?
There's no public
Why
safety
can't we talk English?
emergency.
I mean, I've
No,
been reporting for
there's no
5
public
hours.
safety
Does that mean
emergency.
you caught somebody?
We have
Is
nobody
someone-
under arrest at this time.
Okay, is someone no longer with us?
At this time, there's somebody critical condition at Cottage, and it's in the
No,
news
that
release.
was the person. But I'm just saying, when you say there's no danger, is there a gunman still out there somewhere?
There's no public safety emergency
Here, but
We
that
have
doesn't mean they didn't
nobody
get
under
away.
Arrest,
Okay,
and there is a
so they're still
person in
searching for a
critical
gunman.
condition at the hospital.
I appreciate that because that means they're still alive.
That's all I can say.
But I'm just saying, no one died over there. There's no one that self-inflicted in that shed. No one's in that shed.
No, we have
Okay,
nobody
thank goodness.
dead here.
Wow, that's
There's
so amazing.
Somebody critical
I wonder.
injured.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
from up there though. Okay, but it's weird not to have a PIO out here, like earlier. I mean, I guess it's because of the Wagner thing. I'm not sure, but normally there'd be a PIO out here at least telling us whatever. But you're really helpful.
All
At
of
least
us
I know.
are doing like multiple duties
Yeah.
right now, so we have to.
But when I
definitely take care
report
of that
next,
first.
the man in the car is in the hospital in critical condition. The search is on for a gunman.
Do you want me to sit? I've got the press
Yes,
release.
I
I just
love it.
sent it out. I just sent it to everybody on the press release.
I'll just have the newsroom send it to me. I don't want to keep you any
So,
longer. So there's no threat here. It's still an active investigation. There's one person in critical condition, but I think that's the person that was shot.